current generation ones are very, very, very overboosted, I think, in my opinion. These ones are actually, there's a lot more feel and weight. It feels very natural. There's no point in doing in these cars.
Some cars may look sporty on the outside. Sharp lines, flashy wheels, and names that sound fast. But the moment they hit the highway and the driver pushes past 70 miles an hour, the truth starts to show. The steering feels loose, the cabin starts to rattle, the suspension loses its calm, and you realize this car was never meant to go fast. While automakers love to market agility and excitement, not every vehicle is built to handle high-speed stress. Some fall apart in terms of stability. Others simply lack the power or aerodynamics to stay planted. Today, we're looking at cars that lose their composure once the needle climbs. From compact sedans to small crossovers, these are the models that might be fine in the city, but get nervous on the open road. Here are 14 cars that can't handle high speeds. Number 14. Nissan Kicks. The Nissan Kicks has a fun, youthful look, and it's marketed as a lively urban crossover. But when the open road calls, it's a different story. Under the hood, you'll find a modest 1.6-liter four-cylinder engine that produces just about 122 horsepower. Around town, that's acceptable. On the highway, however, the Kicks quickly runs out of breath. Try merging or overtaking at higher speeds, and you'll notice how the engine strains and the continuously variable transmission keeps it buzzing loudly with little reward. But power isn't the only issue. The Kicks sits tall and narrow, which means it has more body roll and less stability when the speeds climb. A gust of wind or a quick lane change can make the driver grip the wheel tighter than they'd like. Road noise also creeps in quickly, making long drives tiring. Owners often describe the Kicks as nervous above 70 miles per hour, and that's exactly what it feels like. Light, twitchy, and underconfident. The truth is, Nissan designed the Kicks to shine in city traffic and parking lots, not wide-open highways. It's cheap to own, easy to park, and good on gas. But if you ever plan to push past 75 on a regular basis, the Kicks simply doesn't feel safe or stable enough to keep up. Number 13. Toyota CHR. The Toyota CHR looks bold and aggressive, with its sharp design and coupe-like roofline. But the sporty look is where the performance ends. Once you get behind the wheel and try to pick up speed, the CHR's limitations become clear. Its 2.0-liter four-cylinder engine delivers around 144 horsepower. Not terrible on paper, but paired with a continuously variable transmission, it feels sluggish and unresponsive. Acceleration takes time, and overtaking on the highway requires planning and patience. The CHR's biggest issue at high speeds, though, is its stability. The suspension tuning is soft, meant for comfort rather than control. At 70 miles per hour or more, the car starts to feel floaty, especially on uneven roads or around sweeping turns. Combine that with a high center of gravity, and you get a car that simply doesn't inspire confidence once you leave the city limits. Road and wind noise are also more noticeable than you'd expect from Toyota. The coupe-style rear design might look nice, but it creates poor rear visibility and extra wind turbulence at highway speeds. Drivers often mention that the steering feels disconnected when cruising fast, almost as if the car is drifting rather than tracking straight. The CHR is fine for urban errands or short commutes, but on the highway, it's a car that feels more cosmetic than capable. All style, no stamina. Number 12. Ford Escape. The Ford Escape has long been a popular choice among families, but not every version of it can handle high-speed driving with confidence. The base models, especially those equipped with the smaller 1.5-liter EcoBoost engine, show noticeable strain when pushed. Turbo lag, engine noise, and uneven power delivery become apparent when trying to merge onto highways or maintain higher cruising speeds. While the Escape's cabin feels refined at lower speeds, the moment you reach interstate velocities, the steering starts to feel vague and less connected. Many drivers describe the experience as floaty. The car doesn't feel firmly planted, and quick steering adjustments at high speeds can cause more movement than expected. That, combined with soft suspension tuning, leads to a slightly uneasy ride on open roads. Another issue is the sound insulation. Wind noise sneaks in through the side mirrors and door seals, and road vibrations can be felt more than in other crossovers of its class. The Escape is designed more for comfort and fuel economy than for spirited or fast driving. Ford has improved the Escape's tech and efficiency over the years, but the handling dynamics have remained a weak point. For everyday suburban drives, it's perfectly fine. But if you enjoy steady highway runs or long-distance travel, this is one SUV that doesn't quite deliver the composure you'd expect. Number 11. Volkswagen Jetta Base Trim. The Volkswagen Jetta has a reputation for being a reliable, well-built sedan, and it can be, depending on which version you get. The base trim, however, struggles when it comes to maintaining composure at higher speeds. Equipped with a small 1.5-liter turbo engine and paired with a transmission tuned for efficiency rather than performance, the Jetta's acceleration feels hesitant once you push past 60 miles per hour. The car often feels like it's running out of breath just when you need it to deliver. What's surprising is that the Jetta feels solid in city driving, but loses that confidence on the highway. The steering becomes overly light, and there's a slight delay in response when you make lane changes at speed. The soft suspension tuning, designed for comfort, starts to work against it, causing body float over long dips and instability in crosswinds. Drivers often complain that even minor imperfections in the road can unsettle the car at high speeds. Combine that with noticeable wind noise and tire roar from the cheaper base trim tires, and long drives become more stressful than enjoyable. While higher trims like the Jetta GL can hold their own, the base model simply isn't engineered for fast, confident travel. It's great for commuting or city cruising, but once the road opens up, it's best to keep that speedometer modest. Number 10. Subaru Crosstrek. The Subaru Crosstrek is a favorite among adventure lovers and daily commuters alike. But despite its rugged image, it's not a fan of high-speed driving. Underneath its SUV styling lies a small 2.0-liter boxer engine, producing around 152 horsepower, which sounds decent until you realize the car weighs over 3,200 pounds. That power-to-weight ratio means acceleration is slow, and highway merging can feel like a waiting game. The Crosstrek's continuously variable transmission doesn't help either. It keeps the engine droning loudly when you accelerate hard, and there's little sense of urgency. Once you hit speeds over 70 miles per hour, wind noise grows, and the engine starts to sound like it's working overtime. Handling is another weak point. The suspension is tuned for comfort and light off-roading, not stability. As a result, when you drive fast, especially through curves or on uneven surfaces, the Crosstrek can feel wobbly and unsettled. Even though it has all-wheel drive, it's not particularly composed at high speeds. The Crosstrek's strength lies in its versatility and reliability, not in performance. It's great for rough trails and weekend escapes, but when it comes to highway confidence, it's one of those cars that reminds you to ease off the gas and enjoy the slower lane. Number 9. Honda HR-V. The Honda HR-V has built a loyal following for being practical, fuel-efficient, and reliable. But push it to highway speeds, and that calm personality starts to unravel. The HR-V is powered by a small 1.8-liter or 2.0-liter engine, depending on the generation. And while it's fine for city errands, it feels noticeably underpowered when merging onto freeways or overtaking. The continuously variable transmission doesn't help. It keeps the revs high and the cabin noisy, all while delivering very little actual acceleration. At higher speeds, the HR-V's lightweight structure and tall stance start working against it. You can feel the body sway slightly in crosswinds or when overtaking large trucks. The steering, which feels easy and predictable at slower speeds, becomes overly light and vague on the highway. Drivers often describe the sensation as floating. You're technically moving fast, but the car doesn't feel like it's gripping the road. Noise isolation also isn't great. Wind and tire noise rise significantly beyond 65 miles per hour, and the thin doors let in more sound than expected. It's clear Honda tuned this car for efficiency and city maneuverability rather than long, fast highway drives. The HR-V is dependable and well-made, but when it comes to high-speed confidence, it's better suited to local commuting than long interstate stretches. It's a small SUV that prefers taking things slow, and it shows. Number 8. Hyundai Venue. The Hyundai Venue is one of the smallest crossovers on the road, and while it scores points for design, tech, and affordability, high-speed performance is not its strong suit. With a tiny 1.6-liter engine producing around 121 horsepower, the Venue struggles to maintain highway speeds comfortably, especially when carrying passengers or climbing uphill. The lack of torque makes overtaking nerve-wracking. You press the pedal, and not much happens. The continuously variable transmission feels stretched, keeping the engine whining loudly as it tries to keep up. Many owners mention that once you cross 70 miles per hour, the car feels light and twitchy, with noticeable vibrations coming through the steering wheel. Because it's built on a compact platform, the Venue also lacks the highway composure found in larger SUVs. Its short wheelbase makes it susceptible to bouncing over expansion joints and feeling unstable during fast lane changes. Combine that with thin sound insulation and narrow tires, and the Venue becomes tiring to drive for long stretches. The Venue shines in tight city traffic, easy to park, great on gas, and surprisingly roomy inside. But take it on an interstate cruise, and you'll quickly discover it's happier in the right lane than the left. Number 7. Kia Soul. The Kia Soul has always stood out for its quirky design and fun personality, but that charm fades once you start pushing it past typical city speeds. The boxy shape that gives the Soul its identity also works against it aerodynamically. As air resistance builds, the tall, flat body catches wind like a sail, creating drag and instability. Once you pass 70 miles per hour, you can feel the car getting buffeted by even light crosswinds, and the steering requires small but constant corrections to stay centered. Under the hood, the Soul's base 2.0-liter engine provides about 147 horsepower. Enough for daily driving, but not for high-speed confidence. The continuously variable transmission tends to over-rev the engine when accelerating hard, creating a loud, droning noise that doesn't translate into quick movement. The result feels strained and unrefined at highway speeds. The suspension, tuned for comfort and urban agility, also feels too soft when you're cruising fast. Hit a bump or a dip, and the sole can bounce or sway more than you'd like. Add in noticeable road and wind noise, and long highway trips can feel tiring. The Kia Soul is an excellent commuter and city runabout. Fun, efficient, and stylish in its own way. But on open roads, that same design becomes a liability, reminding drivers that not every fun car can handle the fast lane with grace. Number 6. Chevrolet Spark. The Chevrolet Spark is one of the smallest and most affordable cars sold in recent years, and it behaves exactly like one when the speeds rise. With a tiny 1.4-liter four-cylinder engine making around 98 horsepower, the Spark was never designed for high-speed cruising. It's a city car, through and through, meant for short trips and tight parking spaces. Once you take it onto the highway, the Spark feels out of its comfort zone almost immediately. Acceleration to 60 miles per hour takes an eternity, and anything beyond that feels like you're asking too much from it. The engine buzzes loudly, the steering feels twitchy, and every passing truck seems to push the car around with its air turbulence. Drivers often say that the Spark feels nervous at 75 miles per hour, and that's putting it politely. Its lightweight body, narrow track, and short wheelbase make it inherently unstable at high speeds. Even minor bumps can send vibrations through the entire chassis. And though Chevrolet worked to improve cabin insulation, the Spark remains one of the loudest small cars on the market when you're driving fast. It's a fantastic car for saving fuel and navigating crowded city streets. But once you hit the open road, it reminds you quickly why it's priced the way it is. The Spark may have plenty of energy, but it's simply not built for speed or long-distance stability. Number 5. Nissan Sentra. The Nissan Sentra is a comfortable, budget-friendly sedan that shines in everyday driving, but when it comes to high-speed stability, it falls short. Nissan designed the Sentra to deliver smooth rides in city and suburban conditions, prioritizing comfort over sportiness. And that's exactly where its weakness shows. Once the car passes 70 miles per hour, the suspension tuning starts to feel too soft, and you'll notice a bit of body movement with every bump or dip in the road. Under the hood, the 2.0-liter engine offers decent power on paper, but its delivery feels sluggish at higher speeds. The continuously variable transmission is tuned to keep fuel economy high, so it hesitates before downshifting when you need a burst of acceleration to overtake. The result is a delay between pressing the pedal and actually getting the response you want. Steering feedback is another issue. It's light and easy in city traffic, but at highway speeds, it feels detached from the road. This makes lane changes feel less precise and can give the driver a sense of uncertainty. Combine that with noticeable wind and tire noise, and the Sentra becomes more tiring to drive on long, fast stretches. It's great for local commutes, errands, and casual drives, but if you spend a lot of time on the highway or enjoy fast, controlled driving, the Sentra simply doesn't have the composure or feedback to keep you confident. Number 4. Mitsubishi Mirage. The Mitsubishi Mirage is one of the most affordable new cars you can buy. but its low cost comes with some serious trade-offs, especially at high speeds. With a tiny 1.2-liter three-cylinder engine producing around 78 horsepower, the Mirage struggles just to keep up with highway traffic. It can eventually reach 70 miles per hour, but it takes a while, and once there, every extra mile per hour feels like a battle. The Mirage's lightweight frame, while good for fuel economy, works against it on the highway. Crosswinds easily push it off course, and passing larger vehicles can be unnerving. The steering is vague and overly sensitive, requiring constant corrections just to stay in your lane. At higher speeds, the whole car feels jittery and light, as if it's skating rather than rolling. Noise levels are another major drawback. The tiny engine buzzes loudly, and the thin body panels allow road and wind sounds to flood into the cabin. Long drives quickly become uncomfortable. Even small bumps can send vibrations through the car because of its simple suspension setup. The Mirage is designed purely for budget-friendly city driving. It's easy to park, cheap to run, and simple to maintain. But once you hit the highway, it exposes its limitations instantly. Speed is not its friend, and comfort disappears the moment you try to push it beyond its limits. Number 3. Ford EcoSport. The Ford EcoSport was marketed as a compact SUV with a sporty personality. But anyone who's spent time behind the wheel at highway speeds knows it's more about eco than sport. Its 1.0-liter turbocharged three-cylinder engine makes just 123 horsepower. And while it's fine for city traffic, it struggles once you get up to highway pace. Acceleration feels delayed, and overtaking requires careful planning and plenty of road ahead. The EcoSport's tall, narrow design doesn't help either. At higher speeds, you can feel every gust of wind or uneven surface, and that upright body shape makes it feel top-heavy through sweeping turns. Even small steering inputs can cause noticeable body lean, giving you the sense that the car's fighting to stay balanced. The suspension is tuned for comfort on rough city roads, but at 70 or 80 miles per hour, that softness turns into instability. Drivers often mention how noisy the cabin gets during highway travel. Road noise from the tires and wind around the mirrors grows loud enough to drown out conversation or music. The steering, which feels firm at low speeds, becomes vague when you're driving fast, making lane changes feel less controlled. The EcoSport lives up to its name only halfway. It's economical, compact, and easy to drive in town. But when it comes to sport, it simply doesn't deliver. The faster you go, the more it reminds you that it's not built for speed, stability, or long-distance comfort. Number 2. Jeep Wrangler. The Jeep Wrangler is iconic, a symbol of freedom, adventure, and rugged off-roading. But as much as it dominates dirt trails and rocky climbs, it completely falls apart on high-speed highways. The Wrangler's boxy, upright design is a nightmare for aerodynamics. It slices through the air like a brick wall, creating significant wind resistance and noise. Even at moderate speeds, you'll hear the wind whistling around the doors and roof panels. The suspension, built for off-road articulation, feels soft and loose on paved highways. At speeds above 70 miles per hour, the Wrangler bounces and sways over imperfections, and the steering feels vague and slow to respond. Drivers often describe a floating sensation where the car feels disconnected from the road. Add in the tall center of gravity and solid front axle design, and you get a vehicle that can feel genuinely unstable during sharp maneuvers or emergency lane changes. Even the more powerful versions with V6 or turbo engines don't fix this. They can accelerate better, sure, but the chassis and aerodynamics still limit how stable the Wrangler feels. It's noisy, shaky, and tiring on long highway trips. In short, the Wrangler is phenomenal off-road, but uncomfortable and imprecise at high speeds. It's built for adventure trails, not the interstate. When the terrain gets rough, it's unbeatable. But when the road gets fast, it's best to keep things slow and steady. Number 1. Toyota Corolla. The Toyota Corolla has long been known for reliability, efficiency, and comfort. But no one's ever mistaken it for a high-speed machine. While the Corolla is one of the most dependable cars on the road, it simply doesn't have the balance or performance needed for confident highway driving. The standard 1.8-liter or 2.0-liter four-cylinder engine is tuned for fuel economy, not power, and that becomes obvious when you push it past 70 miles per hour. Acceleration slows dramatically, the engine gets loud, and the CVT transmission struggles to find the right ratio, making the car feel strained and unresponsive. The suspension setup, designed for comfort, also contributes to its high-speed weakness. It absorbs bumps well at lower speeds, but when you're cruising fast on the interstate, the Corolla can start to feel light and disconnected. Quick lane changes cause noticeable body roll, and crosswinds can make the car drift slightly in its lane. It's never dangerously unstable, but it lacks the planted, confident feel that more performance-oriented sedans provide. Wind and tire noise also creep into the cabin at higher speeds, reminding you that this car's strengths lie in quiet suburban driving, not highway endurance. While Toyota has made improvements in recent generations, the Corolla remains a commuter's car at heart. Reliable, predictable, and calm, but not cut out for fast, dynamic driving. It's a car you can count on for the long haul, just not for high-speed thrills. Speed reveals the truth about a car's character. Some vehicles promise style, comfort, or economy, but only a few can truly stay composed when pushed hard. The cars on this list prove that high-speed driving demands more than horsepower. It needs balance, aerodynamics, and confidence. From compact sedans to small crossovers, each of these models is dependable in its own way. But when the road opens up and the speeds climb, their weaknesses come to light. In the end, not every car is meant to live in the fast lane. Some are built for the slow, steady rhythm of city life. And that's perfectly fine. Because when it comes to driving, knowing your car's limits is often what keeps you safe.